Hello, hello, everyone. We are going live here in a second. We're bringing on Evan. Hey, Evan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. How are you, Ruben?
Oh, I'm doing excellent. It's a beautiful day out here. How about you?
Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. My wife and I, we just moved to Florida, so it's amazing weather right now.
There you go. Yikes. So, was the summer pretty hot, I'm guessing?
No, okay, but I originally am from California, from a desert, so I'm not a stranger to
Okay,
heat
okay.
by any means. Yeah.
There you go. Okay, well, maybe don't come to Canada in the winter because that might
Yeah.
be a bit of a rough awakening. But
I don't like
I'm
snow.
so
I
excited
can't I
that you
can't
jumped
deal
on
with
here today.
snow.
I know we got, yeah, that is fair. Well, if we ever do a live event, well, maybe we'll do it in summer so that people don't have to freeze their entire bodies to make it happen.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm really excited to dive in today. We got some people watching here on Zoom, but I know we have a bunch of people watching over on Facebook. So, let's get going. I want people to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead and just like introduce who you are, the work that you do. Let's just start there so people can kind of get to know you. And folks, if you're watching and if you have questions as we're going along, feel free to comment them down below. But Evan, introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, my name is Evan. I go by Evan West FDNP. Instagram is evanwest.wellness, but essentially, I am a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. I know that is a mouthful, but essentially, what I do is I run functional labs with my clients, and then I build personalized protocols specifically for them. So, how many times have we've been just
Yeah,
trying to figure out what the heck is going on with all these different health challenges, gut dysfunction, hormonal health, anything like that.
right.
And someone who's gone from specialist to specialist, doctor to doctor, that just can't find any answers. So then, here I am. I'm going to run the right labs that you need and then help build a personalized protocol specifically for you. So I graduated from
I
FDN
love that.
over a year ago, and I've just been building my business ever since. And that's where I found you guys, and just really excited to be able to actually finally build my business instead of just throwing darts against the wall, trying to just see what sticks, essentially.
100%. I mean, and we all start there. I feel like, there's something to be said for people who do just start and throw darts at the wall. Like I
Yeah.
often tell people, like I actually appreciate people who like they just dive into something and they start taking messy action, even without a mentor, because to me they're action takers, and that's such a
Yeah.
good sign. Even though it can feel a little bit ineffective sometimes, at least you're trying, right? You're
Yeah.
failing fast and you're moving forward. So walk people through a little bit of maybe where business was before CCI. I know you were doing some session-based stuff. Obviously, you were still trying to use social media, like you were posting, obviously, like you were going after it, which is
Yeah.
fantastic. But maybe explain to people a little bit about like what business looked like before getting a little bit more of the right strategies.
Yeah. So I'll kind of actually go back a couple of years though too, because I actually
Yeah.
was a NASM certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach,
Okay. Yeah.
and that was all in person. So all I knew was like in-person sessions, and I was training about
Right.
35 hours a week. And let me tell you, that completely burns you out. Now, I love working with clients, of course, too, but when you essentially become someone's therapist in a way, where it's like they're just coming on to you,
Yeah.
and releasing their emotional baggage. Of course, while I'm having them squat, they'll be at the bottom of a squat telling me about their ex-husband or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Therapist under the bar. Yeah.
So I come home just completely drained, and I actually had a gym in my house too, and so it's kind of hard to be at home though, and like just having this emotional drainage, and then my wife is like, we're trying to connect at the end of the day, and I'm just exhausted. So, anyways, now we're fast forwarding to when I graduated at FDN. I'm still doing personal training, and then I'm also starting to build up my business, and all I knew was
Right.
session based. I just only understood, okay, like you
Mhm.
pay per session. I did have packages with my clients, but it was still, it's based off of sessions and not necessarily like, okay, well, they need, this and that. Like now I can get very specific on what my clients need. But before that, I was literally
Right.
just trying to do whatever it takes just to get clients, and that was like, okay, I'm going to
Right.
have a client. I just want a client to do the initial consultation with me. Then we'll run some labs, and each session will then, it'll cost an X amount of dollars and whatnot. And then that's kind of it. I build them their protocol, and then they're kind of on their way, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them back to me. And then, next thing I know, I'm
Yeah.
trying to check in, and then they're just like, oh, I kind of fell off the protocol. So that was something that I was
Right.
running into, where because it was just session based, I also just didn't have the confidence to reach out and be like, hey, it's time to sign up again, or it's time to, book another session with me so we
For
can
sure.
continue on and whatnot. So that was like the issue that I was running to, and it
Mhm.
was getting really frustrating. And it was burning me out too.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm not going to do too much of a blanket statement, but for a lot of people in the health, wellness, fitness space, session based is not only hard for you as a business owner because there's a lot of volatility to it, there's a lot of like kind of things going through the cracks, but also for the clients. It kind of sets in the client's mind a lot of the time that they, after a session or two or three, are like good to go on their own. And if we know anything about humans, is that we need habits that will allow us to do something long term, but habits don't happen after like 1 week or 2 weeks. And sometimes, there's a whole Japanese proverb about the longer it takes you to learn something, the better you learn it actually, and the more skillful you actually get at it. So, and we'll dive into that in a second here. I'm always curious because I like to ask this question. What made you decide to actually think about getting a business mentor? Because some people are completely against it and they're like, I don't need a business mentor. Or some people are like, oh, I've tried business mentors. Da, da, da. Why did you even consider it for your situation?
Yeah. So I actually, so once again, what I mentioned at the very beginning. So my wife and I, we just bought a home in Florida,
Yeah.
and before that, leading up to this, I was doing personal training in person and also FDN online, and which means every
Right.
single one of my in-person clients has been completely wiped out. And I also, as we moved to
Right.
Florida, which moving and having a business coach is and trying to build a business is extremely hard. Let me just say that is extremely hard to do, but incredibly worth it.
Yeah.
And so one thing I knew, I talked to my wife and I was like, I need this to work. I need to make sure that this is going to work. And I don't have the tools right now
Yeah.
necessarily to make it work, but I know that there are people out there to get us,
Yeah.
to get me to that next level that I want to be. And because like once again, I just felt like I was just throwing anything against the wall, just hoping and praying that someone would book with me and not actually having systems in place to actually keep those clients or just, nurture those potential clients and bring them on board. So, and like so
Totally.
I was making, when I was doing personal training in person and everything, I was making anywhere from like 12 to 13K a month with the FDN business on top of it. So all that pretty much got wiped out and then brought me down to about 3K where I was just, at just trying to get as many clients as possible with doing the
Yeah.
uh, session based with my clients essentially, or with my FDN clients. And so I'm like, all right,
Right.
I need this to work. I need something to happen. I need to make sure that I can get to that next level. And the easiest way to optimize that is just, put business coaching on a
Yeah.
credit card and then just know I'm going to make it on the back end. And so far, it's
A
definitely.
hundred percent.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love that. Walk me through that because like investing in any business mentor, and I always tell people we're not the cheapest business mentors around. What was the thought process of like I'm going to make this work? Because I know I've had that in my like I've often told people like I'm a super like I'm not risk adverse. Like I will go and do risky things,
Mhm.
but walk people maybe through what was the mindset. Like how did you I guess have confidence that this is going to work out for me and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, that's a great question because, like I just have that innate, feeling about myself though too, because anytime that I've done wanted
Yeah.
to do something, I've done it, like overcoming my own personal health issues as well was like a huge confidence
Right.
booster. As I was going through the FDN course, it just had a complete 180 on my health where I went from, I don't know if this is TMI, but I talk about this with my clients all the time, going to the bathroom like 12 times a day, to having
Right.
stabilized,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, hormones were feeling good. Like I finally feeling like, oh, I can actually work a lot harder and push myself a little bit more now too. So
Right.
a lot of it like came down to just believing in myself and like trusting my innate ability to make things work.
Yeah.
But also, when I was younger, I probably had way more of an ego and like getting rid of that ego where it's like I need to reach out for help and understanding and finally
Yeah.
admitting, okay, it is time to reach out for help. And shout out
For
to
sure.
Neela got us connected, and we actually have this small
Right.
group.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually have this small FDN group where, we're all kind of talking like, what's going on, like business wise, what do you have, so like we have our main FDN group, but then we have a smaller one with some of the more recent grads, and we've all just been kind of communicating. Some
Right.
people were getting business coaches, and we were seeing the success of others, and then that's where I was like, okay, I think it's time to really make that
Yeah.
jump and then get a business coach, and then Neela once again luckily got
I
us
love that.
connected, and that's where I kind of found you guys.
Yeah. Massive thanks to Neela. She's such a great connector. Now, I also want to say, like, massive props to you, Evan, moving across the country. your in-person business is like done and investing in a business mentor, I mean, that's a lot of things at the same time. And actually, I wanted to point out, and I want to dive into some strategy here in a second, but I did want to point out just what you said, which is like, it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes it's really funny. Sometimes people think that getting a business mentor is like, oh, they'll just do it for me and my business will grow without me. It's like, no. It still requires work. It's the same thing I always say. If you want to run a marathon, hiring a marathon coach will not necessarily like make the runs feel that much easier. They're just going to make sure that you do it in the proper way, that you're not going to get injured, that you're fueling properly, all those different things. But you still have to put the work in. So I want to give you massive kudos for that. Like you
Thank you.
obviously knew there was going to be hard work and you've been putting in the hard work. So let's talk strategy because I know that's what a lot of people are here to kind of like hear a little bit about. So you obviously got connected, I think, with our consultant Rachel on our team, who is fantastic.
Yeah.
Talk us through maybe the first little bit of what you and Rachel worked on to start to find a way to get you paid better for the gifts that you have.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the selling points of CCI because there you have your own personal
Right.
consultant. And I was looking at other groups that
Yes.
were more like group based, and then they just want you
Yep.
to, make a webinar and everything. And I just that's not what I need. I need someone to actually be there in my business, ingrained in my business. And that was probably one of my favorite things from the very get-go. It was Rachel trying to learn
Right.
anything and everything about my business so she could just be that guiding hand and so like every time that we have our strategy calls, we're really going into like, okay, what worked this week? What didn't work? Why didn't it work? And then like really peeling back the
Mm-hmm.
layers of what it's going to take to move that needle. So essentially for me, it was,
Yeah.
okay, I am session based and I'm burning out from that. How do I build my core offering? So she walked me step by step on what my core offering should
Yeah.
be, and how to, and we bounce ideas back and forth from each other. She really helped me get the confidence to be able to sell my core offering and prove that
Yeah.
I'm actually worth that. So that was probably one of the
I
biggest things.
love that.
That was like session 1 and 2 was going through those two different things. Then the next ones were all about, okay, how are we going to sell this? So like run me through how, you're
Right.
working through with your clients. I like how you're going to sell that. She's even helped me take some of my in-person or my not my in-person my session-based clients and turn them into my package clients and like move them onto a core offering. So that's been
Perfect.
really helpful too
Yeah.
because now like there's always some clients who take more than like it's an uneven energy exchange and I want to help them with this
100%.
too, but now there's like a set parameters. I feel way more comfortable with my boundaries, and that was another thing that we kind of talked about, just like setting those parameters. We've done sessions just on messaging clients, like how and what I should specifically say, and it's like I don't, I'm not one to do like, hey,
Right.
emoji, and like, and yeah, so it's more in my voice, like learning how to communicate in my voice and whatnot too.
For
uh,
sure.
so a lot of things like that. So it's just been strategy, and it's been my own personal strategy, which has been so incredibly helpful. Oh, like literally, just on the last note about this, my last session with her was she went through my meta ads with me, and like she helped me build an audience. She helped me on the back end of meta ads, which I know it's probably not something that you hear as much, but it was like, oh my God, that was so incredibly helpful for
Yeah.
my boosting of my posts and getting more, potential leads in too. So I just needed someone to actually help me there. You can't
100%.
ChatGPT this stuff. It's like it's stuff that is actually pertains to you specifically.
100%. Yeah, and I mean that's the biggest thing, and is a lot of people like in your space in the holistic or functional space. We often describe it as like, hey, we're doing for your business what you do for your clients, right? Where you basically you ask a lot of questions, you figure out what's going on, you figure out what they want. You actually have to go deep. And yes, there's a lot of great business vendors out there that frankly they are cheaper than working with us, but it is just groups and like everyone's given the exact same strategy. You're not giving that personal advice, right? Which is I find so helpful. I mean, there's the reason that Terry and I have built the business this way is because we think that the one-to-one stuff just works better. Um, and I love that. I mean, that's where having a consultant that goes in deep helps you with those pieces actually allows you to kind of like grow quicker. Now, with moving from session based to more program based and even transitioning some of them over, what were some of the like results that you saw in the first couple months with those strategies?
Oh my gosh. I mean, now I have so much more of like a tight-knit control over my clients' protocols. So I've definitely seen
Yeah,
my clients having major success, and that's been huge for me. And that makes me so happy because like before it was like, okay, and I have this very specified protocol that I want them to follow, but I don't know if they're going to come back to me. So
yeah,
I just give it all at once, which is not good for some of my clients, where it might be completely overwhelming. And I would try to explain, like, don't do this just yet, like
Totally.
move to this. So now it's like, okay, cool. You're going to do this for 4 to 6 weeks. I'm going to see you in about 6 weeks. Then we're going to move to phase two. So it's like, oh, okay, I see the process of this.
Yeah.
And then some clients, like we always expect to heal a lot faster than we think that it's going to go, essentially. And like even in business coaching, we think we're going to hit it big,
100%.
early on, like in business and whatnot. But everything takes a
Yeah.
little bit longer. But now it's like, okay, you have a guide. I'm able to guide my clients through this process. So that's more from the client side.
Yes.
And then from my personal side, like I was saying before I moved to Florida, I was bringing in about 11, 12, 13K. I would have 13 like 12, 13K months being a personal trainer.
Yeah.
And then now moving here to Florida, all that pretty much wiped up except, I started at 3K and now I'm back up to 8K. So it's like, okay, I see the process. And I just
Yeah.
moved here like 2 or 3 months ago. So it's like, okay, every single month we're building it up more and more. So it's like
I
I
love
see,
that.
like I see that spot where I'm like, oh, I feel super confident because I want to retire my wife. I don't want her to have to work. So it's like I got to be able to bring in
Yeah.
enough money where we both feel confident of like, you know what, I'm gonna do this for you. Like I want you to just hang out with our
Yeah.
future kids, and whatnot. So, but yeah, so that's kind of like
100%.
the client side and the professional side.
I love that. I love that. And talk to me even about, like, I know obviously she helped you with the program stuff and the session based stuff. What other strategies do you feel like have helped with, maybe it is starting to grow the following, getting the leads, getting more calls booked? What are the things that you've learned? And by the way, you don't have to, like, there's no secrets here. You can say anything that you've been taught, you can share it. Like, I don't care if people hear about it.
Yeah.
Like, what have you found most helpful so far besides the other stuff that we've talked about?
Like I do really well when I have someone kind of overseeing me. So being an entrepreneur and being on my own is a little bit harder than most people realize. Like when you're a solopreneur, it's literally
Yeah, yeah,
on you to
yeah.
create the motivation for yourself. So it's nice having someone who is there to check in on me and just see how I'm doing. So, and like I want to report back to her and tell her, hey, I've got all this cool stuff going on. But I would say probably
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
most important stuff that she has helped me out with was creating the core offering, which then gave me the confidence to be able to sell it. And then also like learning how to position myself as the expert, when it comes to social media and being very specific on who I
Mm,
need to be targeting now too. Because before I was just trying to target everyone, and when you help everyone, you help no one. So that
for
was
sure.
kind of like the main thing for
Yeah.
me. So that's all just kind of moving me, guiding me into my niche now. And once you figure out your niche, like that's where you really start to, make the income that you
Yeah.
deserve. And I can get very specific on the people that I need to work with because now it's like, hey, I've seen this case so many
100%.
times and you are still specific and unique, but look, like here's all my other successes that I've had. So let's get moving.
Mhm.
I know exactly what to do. So that's kind of like the whole, it's
100%.
just really helped me out with that confidence.
100%. And a lot of people, like, they start similar to you, where it's like they're trying to help everyone.
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that getting targeted is a speed play and an efficiency play. And I'm going to briefly kind of walk this for anyone that's watching, just as like a mini little training here and here, which is number one, the reason that it works so well is when you get specific. If you do audience growth strategies, it works better because you're dialing it into a specific audience. If you want to give freebies out, more people raise their hand because you're giving them something specifically for only them. And what Evan said, you said that it makes it easier because, like, you're like, okay, I see these cases. These cases are all similar. Guess what happens? Your delivery, even your conversations with them, even your sales calls with them become more efficient because you're so good at the language. And so it becomes easier for you and it becomes more effective on the business side when you're just honed in and targeted. I've just seen it again and again and again when someone goes from like speaking to everyone to just narrowing that down, that in of itself just makes such a big difference. So I wanted to go on that tangent for anyone listening, because that is like, so many people are like, oh, like I'm gonna miss out, or like I'm not gonna be able to help as many people, or like I don't want to turn away people. But the truth, it couldn't be, like, basically the opposite is what happens. You actually get faster results for more people. It's more efficient for you. It's less work for you as well, because instead of, like, let's say you're trying to create resources for your clients, instead of creating 10 different resources for 10 different clients because have 10 different issues, what if you only had to create one resource because all of them struggle with the same thing? Less time for you, more impact, more clients. Anyways, I'm done now. I'm done training. That was a ramble. But
No, that was a good teaching
and now
moment.
I'm on. Yeah,
Great.
good teaching moment, right? No, I absolutely love to hear that, Evan. Folks, if you have questions, by the way, you can comment them down below if there's anything that you want Evan or myself to answer. Um, Last question that I have for you, because I know obviously you're a busy man, you're working hard, is last question I have is what's next for you? Obviously, okay, great. We now went from 3K to 8K months. What's that next level that you're wanting to hit? I don't know, whether it's by end of the year or whatever it is that like you're pushing for.
Yeah, I'm pushing for like obviously 20K. That's where I feel really
Okay.
comfortable being able to say like, hey, honey, my wife, Lindsay, you could quit your job. Like, I want that. I want you to
Yeah,
quit. So that would make me feel a lot more comfortable. But consistent, the consistency of that. So like 3 to 4 months in a row of 20K, it's like, all right, provability, like you've done it, you've done really well. But right now, now
absolutely.
I'm sitting at about 8K. Like then realistically, next steps would be 10K and then 15K and then those 20K months. Hopefully by the end of the year.
Awesome.
And thinking about my trajectory, like I'm definitely able to get to that point now. So it's just a
Right.
matter of keeping those systems in place, following back up with the people, and like there is unfortunately a lot of hand holding that is needed to be done sometimes. Like how many times do you have to reach out to someone and you literally just need to nudge them in the right direction and then boom, they become one of your best,
100%.
at CCI. And same thing, it's like
Yeah,
sometimes I just need to nudge them in the right direction and then they're like, okay, it finally gives them permission to admit that like something's wrong and then someone is
100%.
able to help them. So that's
Yeah,
what's next for me is just really building out my systems, really making sure I can keep growing, continuously move to that 15, 20K months.
awesome. I love that. Well, we're super excited to help you with that. I can't wait to shout you out when you hit that 20K, the first one, and then obviously consistently. The first one's always a big one, but also like the security comes from hitting it consistently,
Mhm.
right? So, absolutely love to hear that. We got no questions today for either of us, which is totally fine, folks. By the way, if you're watching the replay of this over on YouTube and you got questions, you can just throw them down below as well. Evan, thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to share this. I know that these are so helpful for people because I think that a lot of people they're trying to figure out how to do what you did and do what some other entrepreneurs are doing, and sometimes it's hard on social media when you only see like 60-second clips or just like a screenshot. It's sometimes hard to hear like how could this work for me, and when someone can sit down and be like, okay, this is how Evan did it, this is what worked well for him, and like they can actually see behind the scenes. I feel like it actually helps them more and inspires them. So I just want to say thank you for spending us basically the last 25 minutes with us today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, though. I really appreciate it. I love talking about this. So if anyone does want to reach out to me, you can find me at evanwest.wellness on Instagram. I'll be more than happy to give information and talk to you through it and whatnot, and then get you connected, obviously, with Ruben, too.
Awesome, folks. Awesome. Well, folks, I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll probably have some more of these interviews coming up over the next month, so stay tuned for that. And I hope you all have a great Thursday. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So bye for now, folks, and we'll chat with you all soon.